now we're getting into the subclasses for the Illrigger, and I wanted to make something a little bit clearer since the channel's getting some traction since I've been talking about the Illrigger. So, and I want to codify this also moving forward. A lot of what I'm doing in reviews, whenever I'm talking about all this, yeah, I'm a designer, but I'm not a official like Wizards of the Coast designer or anything like that. I make my own stuff over on, you know, the Dungeon Masters Guild, and I also work with other designers on their projects. So, I lead a community around here, around a lot of home brewing, and just kind of discussion about D&D stuff. So I have a different kind of method here, and know that whenever I say that I feel that something is strong, useful, good, whatever, overpowered, that is my opinion, and I make these videos to kind of get out me doing the crunch so that you don't have to, right? Me putting these numbers together so you can come here and determine whether or not something is right for your table if you're a DM, or if you're a player and that's the kind of thing that you want to do. If, yeah, maybe you find out something, some new way to play that class that you hadn't previously thought of. So a lot of people are coming here for my opinions. Go check out some of my other videos as well, and subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate the traction that this class and the UA and everything have been bringing in on my channel. So yeah, thank you all for being here. And with that, let's talk about the Painkiller. So this is going to be a very, very heavy frontline striker. Very, very high damage output that you're going to be able to get out of this subclass. When taken into consideration, like the entire package that this thing is going to be giving you, we're talking about something that's going to be out-damaging Paladin and most likely also Fighter. As a Martialist, this is churning out some pretty insane damage numbers. And I'll provide the math for all that stuff in a table over here. Whenever you take it all into consideration, right, it's already very front-loaded. You're out-damaging Fighter and Paladin by the first tier of play. It kind of mellows out a little bit in the middle tiers, right, second and third. But by fourth, this is going really, really off the rails. And, you know, like I said, if that's good for your table and that's what you're cool with, there's the research behind it. So that's for you to determine, not for me. Anyways, so the Painkiller. What's going on with this subclass? The heavily armored death troopers of hell, the Painkillers serve Disfiter, leading from the front of every major infernal battle. Disfiter is a lord of Dis, the city of war. When hell invades another world, Disfiter's army does the fighting and the dying. His Painkillers are master strategists who lead from the front, inspiring terror and awe in their soldiers. They are full of pride and hubris and present themselves as lordly, often having a fastidious obsession with their personal appearance. The Painkillers are among the most chivalrous of the Illriggers, but theirs is a twisted chivalry. They will accept and honor a challenge to single combat and swiftly punish any who try to interfere. But they will cheat death if losing and toy with an enemy before finishing them if winning. In a moment of weakness or desperation, a ruler in another world might see their army facing certain defeat and call upon Disfiter. Seeing an opportunity to sow strife and discord, Disfiter may send a Painkiller to lead the desperate lord's armies. Okay, so they've got their tenets that you can check out up here. Let's get into this subclass. So, the Illrigger, a big important thing to know is that in their subclasses, not only are you going to get your subclass features, but similar to Paladin with like Channel Divinity, they're also going to get like these Interdict Improvements. Well, okay, saying that wrong here. So Invoke Authority is going to be their contrast to Channel Divinity. These Interdict Improvements, this is going to be their contrast to Divine Smite. And they function in different ways, but like that's really, if we're looking at where the power budget went into both of these designs, that's what we're comparing it to. So you're going to get your Interdict Improvements at 6th, 10th, and 18th level with all of these subclasses. You're going to get features on your Illrigger through their subclass at 3rd, 7th, 9th, 13th, 17th, and 20th level. So, to be fair, Paladin does also have their progression of spellcasting that maybe that's where a lot of the power budget went for this class, right? Was a lot of the subclasses were supposed to be more loaded than the base class. The base class in the Illrigger is pretty damn strong. So, yeah, for this subclass, in my color rating system over here, and again, just reinforcing my opinions. you can take that as you wish. So, contract with Disfitter. Disfitter's heavy shock troops must be effective battlefield commanders and quickly dispatch enemies. Invoke Authority, Devastator. So, as an action, you invoke the authority of Disfitter, a number of allies equal to your charisma modifier, whom you can see within 60 feet, and you may use a reaction to make one weapon attack. So this is going to cost you your action and your reaction to make a weapon attack, which is clunky for your action economy. However, this is up to, what are we talking here? Realistically, here at, third level, let's say 3 other characters are able to make a weapon attack. Pretty damn nice. Standard D&D party of 4, though, like, most likely you're going to have one big spellcaster that isn't really going to have anything to do with this turn. This is a great, if you put this on a paladin, I would always call this purple, be like, this is absolutely amazing. I still think that this is a very, very good use of this is a very strong once per long rest feature, right? Except this is going to compete for the same resource as this next thing here, Infernal Surge. Infernal Surge, upon invoking Disfitter's authority, you gain an extra action in addition to your normal action and any possible bonus action. So they're getting action surge from the fighter once per long rest, right? On this subclass with everything they're going to get in their Interdict Improvement, this is a lot, and it goes a long way into building out one really super strong striking combo. Here, also at 3rd level, you're going to get proficiency with heavy armor, so I marked all this stuff as purple. Let's talk about their Interdict Improvements, because at 6th level, that's the next thing they're going to get, right? This I Am Death. And just a reminder, so for the Illrigger, I always look at bonus actions as they're either going to be setup or follow-up, right? Where do they fall in your turn in conjunction with your action, right? Your action is the big, meaty part of your turn that you're usually going to be doing, your attacking and all that other stuff. So is your bonus action going to be something that helps you to attack beforehand, in which case you're going to be using it as setup instead alley-oop? Or if it's something that you're going to be using your action for one thing and then your bonus action is coming in to help just kind of like give it some oomph, that's going to be follow-up. Usually that's going to be on a lot of different classes, like you look at Rogue, them being able to disengage as a bonus action that's their main core defensive tool, right? So consider all that. The Baleful Interdict is almost always going to be used before your action, so this is going to be your setup, right? Especially once you see what these can do. I Am Death. At 6th level, after placing a seal on a creature, your attacks against that creature have advantage until the end of your turn. This is so good on the Illrigger because they just got extra attack. On top of that, they get Infernal Surge. I just talked about Arcane Trickster again, and how, I think it was their 13th level, how using that mage hand to use your bonus action to get advantage on an attack roll in your turn is not super great because of the rogue kit, right? Like, if you had got more than just one attack in the rogue kit, and that would have absolutely been a super strong feature for me. But there's so many ways of generating advantage that it just didn't feel all that great. Here, why is this so good? Using this bonus action, you're already going to get the benefits of your Baleful Interdict, right? So very nice. Remember that. That's going to be an additional 2d6 damage per seal that's on the creature, and necrotic damage. And then, if you're within 30 feet of the target, you regain 2 hit points for each die of damage your seals deals. That's still a really odd sentence to me. But you get to do this a number of times equal to your charisma modifier. Remember, just bonus action, all that stuff. You're going to be a frontliner, so you're going to have no problem with this range restriction at all, right? After that, you're going to get all of this on top of the 2d6 necrotic damage and the healing, and your attacks against that creature have advantage until the end of your turn. Your Nova is looking real scary right now because you pop this as your bonus action. You do this Infernal Surge to where now you're going to run out there and deal 4 attacks that all have advantage on a class that has the Treachery fighting style where you gain a flat +3 bonus to your damage rolls. This means that on that turn that you do that Nova, you're going to run out there and have a guaranteed at least 12 damage. That's before talking about adding your flat modifiers or possibly any magic weapons, anything like that. Well, I say flat 12, damage dice, all that stuff. You know what? You guys have seen the math, all that. So that's a very, very strong effect. Like the fact that these are all going to have advantage, you might look and think that like, man, yeah, then I can go rogue and add sneak attack on top of that and yet, you know, if you're not playing this character all the way out to 20th level, yeah, go multi-class in a rogue. But their 20th level is going to be a pretty insane spike. So that's what they get at their 6th level, by the throat. Starting at 7th level, you can, as an action, place a seal on an enemy within 30 feet. If they are large or smaller, they must make a wisdom saving throw. DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your charisma modifier, or be grappled, escape DC of 15, and the target is restrained until the grapple ends. So, why do I think this is orange? They should have given this some kind of an authority save DC, like in their invoke authority feature, and have stuff refer to that, because this not scaling is a little odd. We don't usually ever see official options that have a static save DC, right? As far as I can remember. And it wouldn't be hard for this to all reference the same like DC. It does also have the restriction of if they're large or smaller. So like this is pretty restrictive. It's competing for your action, which, let's be honest, on the Painkiller, you're going to want to be attacking just as much as possible. So this is decent for those situations where maybe you can't get into range. It's here. Yeah, I just don't really think that compared to everything else, I'm not going to go so far as to say that this is detrimental to your character. It's something else that you can do, I guess. But notice that with this escape DC of 15, there's so many creatures that later on can be immune to being grappled, and even if they're not, they're going to have a real easy time making this escape DC. So that should really scale with you at the very least if you're going to make a change to this. Telekinetic Seals, starting at 9th level, you can, as a reaction to an enemy moving into a space adjacent to you, place a seal on them. If you do, they must make a wisdom saving throw. DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your charisma modifier. If they fail, they are thrown back 30 feet and knocked prone. So there's one thing I'm curious about with this, right? This says place a seal on them. So does that mean that that's a baleful interdict seal? Like, if that's the case, then their baleful interdict is going to get even more insane, because you're going to be able to consume an additional seal later on, and yeah. So it should be really clear, I think, of here in the wording, whether or not this is part of your baleful interdict seals, right? Does it count against that like max of 5 that you can have? Yeah, that needs some codification right there. With this feature, the Painkiller doesn't have a whole lot. Really, the Illrigger doesn't have a whole lot that it's going to be doing with its reaction other than making opportunity attacks. This, nice to see that it does have the scaling DC right here. If they fail, they're thrown back 30 feet and knocked prone. This is pretty much a get the fuck off me kind of an effect. That's really, like, you want to be engaged with a single target, right? As an Illrigger, you're not really big into horde clear. You want to get up on the leader and be taking like all their focus, right? What needs some real clarification here is this place a seal on them, because if that is working for baleful interdict, then that means that it's going to be just that much easier for you to consume even more seals that you're going to get. Yeah, that needs some clarification. This is like, I highlight this in blue. It is situational, but like all reactions are kind of out of your control as to when you can use them. So yeah, here you have a special reaction you can do. Telekinetic Seal is going to be strong. So at 10th level, you get this Hell's Fury, which I've marked in gray. This is where Painkiller's damage output for me really just goes way off the rails. At 10th level, the bonus action you use to place a seal on a creature now also grants you a weapon attack against them. So you could make the argument, you know, yeah, this is limited a number of times, you know, whatever. You know that you're going to need charisma. You're going to be investing into that. But at this level, you've most likely got a +5 into your charisma. And you can keep making this argument, this trade-off of like, well, your strength might not be that high, so therein you can't attack all that hard, and yada, whatever. The way I'm looking at this, right, with Hell's Fury, I am seeing this as an instance of the attack action, right? And the attack action on the Illrigger, this is a class that has the treachery fighting style, right? Where you get a +3 to weapon damage rolls. So I feel like that's compensating for something, right? Either the lower strength or whatever. So you can go and invest into charisma, not be a huge deal. And even if you don't invest heavily into charisma, most combats only last 4 rounds at most, at absolute most. Because of that, and this refreshing on a shorter long rest, I'm looking at this as if you are always going to have your Baleful Interdict available. So to me, what this means is now you're effectively just getting an extra attack you can do with your bonus action. That's so damn good, guys. Like, realistically, combat in D&D 5e, it just is not really built to last more than 3 to 4 rounds. I haven't talked to a single designer that has made anything, that has built anything that's meant to continue on for like the full minute duration of a spell. You know, we mostly write spells with a duration of 1 minute because we want that to be an effect that can last for the entire combat, right? This is such a strong feature. You getting a bonus action to apply something that's going to heal you, as well as give you advantage on all attack rolls until the end of your until the end of your turn, as well as giving you an attack that you're going to have advantage on. And then Infernal Surge, like, this is what I mean by this Interdict Improvements kit right here is just way above par for what we're used to seeing in any subclass. Let me put it to you this way. It's at this point, and I'll put up the math and everything. It's at this point where if you as a DM are asking yourself, what is your limitation, right? I won't let anyone bring Homebrew to my table if I feel like it's stronger than official stuff, right? If that's your thing, if that's your line, this is the point where this is officially stronger than any of the official work. So I'm giving this one gray. You die on my command. This is a really cool in-flavor kind of a support feature that I was not expecting them to get. Starting at 13th level, when an ally within 30 feet who can hear you drops to 0 hit points, but is not outright killed, you can use your reaction to shout an order at them, causing them to drop to 1 hit point instead. You cannot use this feature again until you complete a short or long rest. So, I do dig this. With all the flavor text, I was kind of worried that they were just going to get all of this, like, me kind of stuff, feeling a little bit selfish in a way. But here, we're getting a sudden support feature, which is remarkably good. You not being able to use this until you complete a short or long rest. You get this once per combat is the way that I'm thinking about that. So, of course, this is going to be purple. Steel Mind, starting at 17th level. You gain advantage on wisdom saving throws against spells and enemy abilities. I almost thought that, like, maybe this would be a cool way to reel back magic resistance in a way, right? I do like this situational, like, it's only on these certain ability saving throws that you get the advantage on the spell. The saves and everything. I generally feel like Steel Mind is pretty okay. This is on a class that doesn't get proficiency with wisdom saving throws, so that's a little, like, kind of but it's fine. This is all good. Steel Mind, 17th level. Yeah, great. At the next level, Death Strike. This is, to me, probably actually, despite this having like one of the big like whoa kind of effects, actually not that scary in comparison to the rest of their Interdict improvements. At 18th level, when you consume a seal after a successful attack roll against an interdicted creature, you may use your reaction to make the attack score a critical hit. That might have some other implications if you give them like a special magic item or something. But Death Strike, you have a guaranteed critical hit. Effectively, once per turn is what I'm looking at, right? And you can say, well, yeah, they can miss with these attack rolls. Guys, they got advantage on these attacks. Like, oh, God. I just practically kind of consider that as you're going to score a critical hit every turn. So that's gotta be at least purple. Pain Devil, following a lot of the Paladin scaffolding, they're also going to get their capstone at 20th level. So here, starting at 20th level, you can use your action to become a Pain Devil for 1 minute. Your size becomes large, You gain a +3 to hit and damage with melee weapons. You gain 100 temporary hit points. You emanate an aura of pain that forces every enemy starting their turn within 20 feet of you to make a DC 16 Constitution saving throw or suffer 4d12 force damage on a failed save, half that on a successful saving throw, as wounds in their flesh spontaneously open. Once a creature saves, they are immune to this ability for 24 hours. While in this form, your type becomes Fiend, Devil, and Hell is your home plane. You cannot use this feature again until you complete a long rest. So how am I looking at this one? Alright, so this last thing, like, there are mechanics in which that comes into play for, right? Your type becomes Fiend, Devil, and Hell is your home plane. It's going to suck if you get banished, I guess, because you're going to get sent to Hell. But your type becoming Fiend, at lower levels of play, that's a little bit stronger because you're effectively immune to any of the, like, person spells, right? Charm person, hold person, whatever. But here at 20th level, it's kind of... I'm not really thinking about that too much. This second paragraph is... it's something I keep going back and forth on. So, this aura, right? This is straight up force damage. Like, there's one creature that's immune to force damage in the entire game, the Helmed Horror, if we're not taking creatures that are in modules into consideration. In that case, it's like 4, you know? So, force damage is extremely reliable. This is going to be an average of 6.5, 6.5, 13 times 2, so 26 force damage. Just below the average damage roll of Fireball that you're going to be emanating from yourself does require a DC 16, which is a static saving throw. It's not going to scale. Well, like at 20th level, most CR 20 creatures are very easily going to hit that, right? CR 20 and above creatures. So I guess this is meant for like minions, right? So yeah, that's there. I still just think I would have rather seen like the standard, you know, 8+ prof plus all that. But 20 feet of you, this is a very, very large area, right? 4 squares in any direction. 40-12 force damage. Gah. But I guess once they make the save, they're immune to it for 24 hours. This is all really not the stuff that I'm scared of, right? It's this right here. You gain a +3 to hit and damage with melee weapons. Notice that this is melee weapons. You don't like gain it. In this transformation doesn't like give you a different kind of a weapon, right? This is a +3 on top of any like magic weapon. This could affect a magic weapon, right? So that would mean that like if you have because you're at 20th level, if you have a +3 magic weapon, that means it becomes a +6 magic weapon. Your size becoming large, it's just generally better to be bigger in D&D. You know, you're gonna be harder to grapple, all that. Not a whole lot of major mechanical change here. This is pretty scary. On top of a class that has treachery, you get a huge damage spike here. There was a way to tone this down a lot. And then you gain 100 temporary hit points. Like I said, you guys make your own judgments on what is or isn't great for your tables. Me personally, I feel like this could very easily be toned down. The Illrigger is in a playable state, right? And this is an electronic document. So they could easily kind of reel some of this stuff back. It wouldn't take too much work. This is all stuff that I think if you're playing this as is, it's going to outdamage Fighter and Paladin. Really any of the official options. So if that's your metric for I won't allow anything in the game that is stronger than any of the official stuff, then I think that this breaks that metric. Because this is a, like I said, electronic document, they have a grace that Wizards of the Coast doesn't, and that they can go in and very easily make some changes to this. So I'm going to say that I think that the Painkiller right now is probably overtuned for most tables. Some changes can be made in here fairly easily. I think that the Interdict Improvements need to get reeled back. Giving them this much out of their bonus action is just really atypical for any kind of a character option that we're used to seeing. And I know I've heard this argument of like, well, what, you want people to have cool features or you want it to all be balanced? You can make cool stuff and still make it balanced. That's not an impossible task. Those two aren't mutually exclusive. So this could get reeled back just a hair. It wouldn't be super hard. I think with Pain Devil, I don't know that I really care so much about it being 20th level. It's just a matter of like, this is objectively better than like most any paladin capstone in the game. The rest of this stuff, if it's scaled off of a different DC, maybe like an Invoke Authority DC, I think that can be pretty cool. Infernal Surge compared to Devastator, I just think that you're going to be using Infernal Surge so much more. Yeah, so like I said, you guys pause the video. You can check out the math. Go do your thing. Like I said, you determine what's right for your tables. So the Painkiller, let me know what you all think down in the comment section below. If you're new to my channel, I do a lot of D&D home brewing, lots of talks about music. I also just do kind of just whatever comes to my mind. So go check out some of my other videos if you haven't already, and subscribe if you're brand new here. So I want to give a shout out to my Patreon sponsors. Thank you all so much for helping me keep the lights on around here and coffee in my blood. Y'all are absolute heroes. And this Friday, I'm actually got a live stream going on where I'm doing layout work and talking about Ross Leiser's brand new Shaman class that he's about to release over on the Dungeon Masters Guild. So come and hang out over there. If you've got any questions that you want to ask from some of the guys that are working in the homebrew scene, come over, hang out. So that's going to be it on this one, guys. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope you all are staying safe, staying healthy, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.